In days of yore, the British seaside town was a major tourist hotspot. Bursting at the seams in summer, and even quite popular in winter, they provided a welcome respite from the gloomy industrial centres and grey post-war cities that most people called home. They had football teams as well. Blackpool were a regular feature in the upper reaches of Division 1 throughout the 50s and 60s. Brighton had spells in the top flight, and teams like Southend, Scarborough, Bournemouth and Southport occupied the Football League. The introduction of rail privatisation and low-cost airlines was a disaster. A 2-hour flight to Nice or Barcelona was a lot more tempting than a 4-hour train journey to Skegness. And it was usually a darn sight cheaper. Many of England's seaside towns became crumbling relics of a bygone era, and most now have terrible reputations with rising antisocial behaviour, deprivation and low employment. The clubs didn't fare much better. Blackpool are a shadow of their former selves, Southport are now in the National League North, Scarborough went out of business and Southend very nearly followed them. Brighton were homeless until they got their act together, and Bournemouth almost went out of the Football League before they got lucky. But today we're focusing on Torquay. Yep, today we're heading down to Devon for a National League South game between Torquay United and Maidenhead United. And with the weather looking beautiful on the way down, I'm sure it's going to... Well, it may be a bit monochrome today, but a walk along the seafront is always a pleasant thing to do, even in this weather. Some towns have a complicated etymology. Torquay isn't one of them. Tor means hill, and quay means a long platform by the sea. During the Victorian era, when the government graciously decided to give people a day off now and then, Torquay became extremely popular with the upper and middle classes, who often compared this part of Devon to the French Riviera, due to the preponderance of palm trees, the clean air, and the relatively mild climate. Well, the palm trees are still here, but it's bloody freezing today. The locals pounced on this observation and began using the moniker the English Riviera to describe an area roughly covering Torquay, Paignton and Brixham. This is Paignton. It is a beautiful area to visit, especially in the evening. If, like me, you have the mind of a moth, you'll certainly enjoy all the bright colours. As visitors came, this is Torquay by the way. As visitors came in their droves, impressive parks were built to give them a deeper escapism from the dismal, smog-ridden hellholes they lived in. Most of them were named after Queen Victoria, like this one. Agatha Christie and Peter Cook were both born here, but Torquay's decline is no different to dozens of other coastal towns. The crowds and the money have long since found more exotic places to go. Does that mean that Torquay is beyond hope? No, not at all, As I said earlier, this is an extremely enjoyable place to visit. The British love nothing more than to run down their own country while glorifying others, and while it's true that Torquay isn't as economically successful as it once was, it's not all bad. Hotels are still cheap, and the food is actually edible now, compared to the undercooked fish and chips and sweaty kebabs they used to offer. And as you can see, the scenery is exceptional. Still bloody freezing though, so let's get to the ground. Plainmoor is a wonderful little stadium, and I would encourage anyone coming down this way to take in a game. The stadium has grown significantly in the last few years, but that hasn't done a great deal for the club's fortunes. Torquay United were always one of the minnows of the Football League, where they played for almost 100 years. Devon is not a footballing hotbed, and with Plymouth Argyle dominating West Devon and Exeter City dominating the East, it's always been slim pickings for the county's third team. A few brief stints in the third division have come and gone like the waves that lash the shore 1.5 miles down the hill. Dear God. When automatic relegation to non-league was introduced, Torquay was one of several teams that looked nervously down at the division below, unable to ignore the dozens of teams with bigger stadiums and budgets waiting to take their place. And when relegation did eventually come, Torquay found it hard to adapt. Although the Gulls did have a brief spell back in the Football League, the last 10 years have been a disaster, with Torquay falling to their lowest ebb in the National League South, level 6. The rain has been pretty constant since December, and you can see the effect it's had on the pitch. In fact, this is Torquay's first home game in almost a month. Maidenhead United have never played in the Football League and rarely make it to the first round of the FA Cup, but they do have an interesting record. Their home ground, York Road, is recognised as the longest running home stadium in the country. The Magpies played their first game there in 1871, and 155 years later it's still their home. Maidenhead were relegated from the National League last season, and they're desperate to go straight back up. But a look at the table shows that Torquay are far more likely to get there. Despite a surprise loss to Chippenham the previous Tuesday, the Gulls are top of the Conference South, and Maidenhead are 8th, just outside the playoffs. Torquay's manager is Paul Watton, and if you're an Argyle fan like I am, this guy is nothing short of a club legend. 66 goals in 491 appearances, most of them as captain. There won't be another like him. Just don't ask him about the Chris Zabrowski incident. Anyway, as the teams come out, let's go through the lineups. When your team loses to the bottom side in the division, you better believe there are changes coming, and Torquay have made 3. Cody Cook, Kieran Wilson and Jordan Thomas dropped to the bench, and Louis Dennis, Dylan Morgan and Dan Hayfield replaced them. Top scorers this season are Dennis with 13 and Jordan Young with 15. Maidenhead make only one change from the side that beat Tunbridge Angels midweek. Clarima takes the place of de Havilland. Liam Dulson is their top scorer, and Josh Umera is a former Torquay player.
Captain number 12, Matt Robinson. Number 15, Josh Umera. 17, Liam Dulson. 20, Remy Clarima. 23, Josh Mahula. And 30, Emmanuel Honorays. Substitutes are Harvey Collins, number 1. Number 2, Ryan Darcy. 5, Miles Welch Hayes. 7, Dylan De Silva. 14, Harry Richard. 16, Karen Newbeck. And 19, Owen Cochran. Show your appreciation for our mascots in the centre circle. 50 Laws and Noah Loosemore. Enjoy your afternoon, boys. For the Torquay United side, okay, let's hear your voices. Number 1, James Hammond. 3, James Foster.
So, with the green hills of Devon in the background, the game begins. After losing at home to Chippenham, Torquay are desperate to prove they're not going to bottle it. Maidenhead are just outside the playoff places, and a draw is no good for either team. Despite an early fumble in the Torquay defence, they begin much stronger. Their build-up play is superb, but chance after chance goes begging. The Maidenhead defence is incredibly stubborn. Both teams are desperate to get 3 points on the board. Nevertheless, the game becomes rather pedestrian. Torquay quickly get the ball into the final third, but time and time again they lack a cutting edge.
Quite a big cavern in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought that's what Worthington was supposed to be doing.
It's a makeshift right back for now, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's a makeshift right back for now, isn't it?
But then, 4 minutes before half-time, sunny blue Lower Everton gets the ball inside the box. And the Gulls take a well-deserved lead. Spurred on, Torquay searched for a second goal which would almost certainly kill the game off. But at half-time, it's still only 1-0. In the second half, Maidenhead know they have to pick up the tempo to get anything from this game. Torquay are keen to put the game to bed, and the match becomes much more energetic. Maidenhead goalkeeper Jordi van Stappershoof will feature prominently in the next few minutes. Here he pulls off a save from close range. On 55 minutes, Maidenhead get a free kick just outside the box. Umera steps up. And hits it perfectly. So now it's 1-1. News has just come through that Dorking are winning at home to Farnborough, and they now lead the division. Maidenhead are chasing the leading pack. Both teams are crying out for a winning goal. But Torquay are top of the table for a reason, and they get the lion's share of chances. But they can't get past Van Stappershoof. On 71 minutes, the most contentious moment of the match. Torquay number 7 Louis Dennis goes racing through, and he's bound to score. The referee blows, and to the astonishment of the crowd, he books Dennis for diving. I'm not sure why anyone would dive when they're clean through on goal, but the referee had a better view. Unsurprisingly, it's not gone down very well. Paul Watton protests a little too loudly, and he gets a yellow. Buoyed by their perceived injustice, Torquay find another gear. But Maidenhead aren't just here to make up the numbers. The game becomes a thrilling end-to-end encounter. Just before stoppage time, Van Stappershoof finally makes a mistake. But Torquay couldn't capitalise, and with no more clear-cut chances, it's a draw. The home fans, still incensed at the penalty decision, are chomping at the bit to give the referee a piece of their mind. So Torquay are now part of the chasing pack, but in the evening the monochrome is replaced by a splash of colour. Maybe one day the crowds will return, but for the time being, it's nice having it all to myself. Ta-ra!